don't use this to print envelopes that often, but I gotta admit, it's not bad. I mean, it works pretty well. It does sometimes wrinkle a little bit. You can lower the fuser pressure, but for the most part, you know, it's a lot faster than my desktop inkjet machine. And the colors, if you're doing any type of heavy coverage, snaps a lot more, being that the toner sits on top instead of getting soaked into the paper. But I'd show you, but there's people's addresses on here, so I can't show you up close, sorry. I have a confession to make. You know, a couple months ago, when this arm broke, I used a paper clip in there. I didn't replace it yet. Still gotta do that, but it runs fine. Kinda forgot about it. I need to print 40 booklets, and I'll be honest, I got a case of the lazy, so I don't think I'm gonna do it offline. I'm just gonna do it online here. Print the covers and then post insert the covers because there's a bleed and it goes to the edge. So let's print the covers, cut them down, and then get these booklets running, and then I'm gonna impose some cards and some other things. A bunch of odd jobs today that I wanna kind of flush out of the system before I take on some real big jobs that are coming through the pipes. Okay, got the covers printed, cut down, printing the guts, and booklets are coming out. Looks good. Now I can go watch YouTube videos for the rest of the morning. Okay, so I had a little bit of time and I'd like to put this thing to bed so it's ready to roll if and when the next job comes in. So let me show you what I found. So this runs fine, just as long as the paper doesn't come down too far that this sensor doesn't sense the stack, and then it'll just lower and bottom out and say stack wrong direction, I think is the error. It says something like that, but it'll never go back up. So it runs fine as it's lowering, so it'll run just fine. And as you saw there, it went down too far and then it stops. And I can't get it to go up unless I manually move it up until that sensor detects the stack. But it will lower it just as long as the paper is, you know, blocking this. And I believe this is the pile height, so when that gets crossed, it'll go down just a little bit and then down a little bit. So I'm suspicious of the relay, and this is why. I mean, if I can take the paper out here and turn it on, you'll see what I mean. So it'll just lower. And then I get an error, stack wrong direction. And I was suspicious of one of these relays. I took the cover off this relay because that's the relay that I'm assuming is bad, and it does smell burned up a little bit, which is a good sign. I also took the cover off so I could manually make the contacts go. It's only using these contacts out here, and if I take a screwdriver and close that, this stack moves up. So it's either the relay or it's not getting 24 volts to the relay. So what I need to do is measure the 24 volts. If I'm getting 24 volts and the contact is not switching, then the relay is the problem. It's like a $20 relay, which is what I'm really hoping the problem is. So I'm going to test that now. So I didn't get 24 volts at either of those contacts. Now I want to manually make those contacts cross over and see if that goes up. That relay certainly controls the up and down. Now I gotta stare at it and think for a little bit. I'm not convinced this is bad. I mean, there's continuity in the coil. Now's the time where I really wish I had a power supply and I could just put 24 volts to it and test it. We're not getting 24 volts to this relay, and this wire right here is what controls the up and down. It's currently in the down position, and then when I manually activate it, it switches the flow of electricity to this top, and that makes it go up. So now what I need to do, I'm assuming the relay is good. So I'm going to trace back our 24 volt wires to wherever that is and see why we're not getting 24 volts. And I don't know if that's a sensor issue or what, but we're going to keep on following that back further. Let's see here. So if I press start, that should raise up if it's working. Hold it. Every once in a while you get lucky. Let's try and load some paper in here and see what she does. But, so that's low, so it should raise back up. Shoot. Oh yeah, it goes up and down. I'm going to consider that fixed. Okay, that is awesome. I don't even need to buy a new part. Let's see if I can get this on here. Yeah. So those relays are good. And this was severely bent. I don't know for sure, but I doubt that I did that when I took the cover off. But somebody else has been in here because, you know, there is electrical tape on a connection over here, and I forget what else. If I saw something that I know somebody's been inside here, so that made me concerned as soon as I took it apart. But hey, that's awesome. That's a good fix. I love it when I don't need to buy any parts to fix something. So this is great. So I'm gonna put the covers back on this, roll it out of here, and I'm going to consider it ready to roll for the next spiral bound job that I get. Man, right when I take the envelope fuser out of this thing, I get an envelope order. And surprisingly, it's running well. These are A9 with the square flap, and it's running. I'm actually really surprised. So just in case you're curious, it will run a square flap envelope. I bet you won't guess. I just took the envelope fuser out, went out to my desk, and there's a third one. Put it back in. You know, I'm not upset that I have 3 envelope jobs. It'd just be nice if they all came at once. So I have a couple small runs of booklets that I want to squeak through before I start the big stuff. What I wanted to show you is the creep that I'm putting in here. No, I'm not talking about the weird dude that lives down the road from you. So this is my outside most signature here. and you can see there's a gap that is inserted by my imposition software, and each time it steps down to the inside signature where there's no gap. And what I'm adding is twice the thickness of the paper that I'm printing on to each one. And what that does is the outside signature actually has to travel a further distance for a saddle stitched book. Okay, here's a good example of a booklet when it's flat. Then when you fold it, see how that outside is going to travel a longer distance? Now, if this was a booklet, it would get trimmed off the edge here, and the staple would go through right here. So what this creep calculation does is it adds that additional length to each signature, and that's mainly so that your page numbers are always gonna line up correctly. So like on this book, there's only 4 signatures, so I didn't adjust for creep. It just doesn't really matter on a small signature book like that. But here we have like, I think 12 signatures, so it's gonna be more noticeable. Now you wouldn't even have to adjust for it, but you will notice it. I will show you later once I have some stitched. Maybe it'll be easier to understand then. That's a lot of book covers. Gonna let this run. Okay, so here's a good example of, this is the booklet with the creep set up correctly. And the page numbers should always be the same distance from the number to the edge of the sheet, all the way through here. Perfect. And I printed one out here, and I left the crop marks on it so you could see what it would look like without the creep. And there's plenty of space up here, but you're going to see that crop mark move in till it almost gets cut off and then back out. And that's just because of the extra distance paper's got to travel in a booklet. I think I'm going to call it a day. Presses are cooling down. I can start those up tomorrow. So I'll finish these booklets then. Paper came in early Christmas. This is what you're gonna see in the next video. So we have 60 pound, 60 pound, and 70 pound paper here. All has to get cut down and printed. And I have a bunch of 12 point in the back there for covers. It's gonna be perfect binding extravaganza for the next video. So I think I'm going to call it a day. A handful of people have asked me to do a start to finish perfect bound book just to see all the processes and steps to do that. So I'm going to take this opportunity to do that for the perfect binding that I'm going to be doing in the very near future here. So thanks for watching. Thanks to all the new subscribers and all the old subscribers that have been around for, it's probably a little over a year since I've started this channel. So it's been fun, and catch you on the next one.